Welcome back, my friends. Today we are doing Bread Baking 103. It's the third in our bread baking series. There's going to be a lot that continues in this series, and with every episode, I'm going to add a skill, a technique, something new that you've not done before with me, and then we can build like the foundation of a house, and we just keep adding skills until we're making some really cool, amazing bread, because there's nothing like baking bread for your family and having the whole house smell like that. There's nothing that can replace something that amazing. And it's really a satisfying thing to master bread baking. I promise you, when I first started baking bread, the bread I made was hard and dense, and it could use to keep doors open. It was horrific. Now that was almost 20 years ago, but to go from that to where I am now, I'm very proud of it, and it was a huge amount of work, but worth every bit. And I want to participate, if I can, if you'll have me, in helping you get there if that's something that you'd like to do. So, with that said, today we're doing Italian bread. And so I'm going to read you the ingredients, even though I already filmed part of this yesterday because the dough had to be made in advance by one day. Why? Because this particular episode, we're doing an Italian bread that requires a cold fermentation. That means that we have to mix our dough and it has to go in the fridge for 12 to 18 hours. Now, all that requires from you is to plan in advance by one day. You don't have to actively do anything else with it once it's mixed up and covered. So it's not adding to your chores or you having to set timers and do all these things. Not at all. Time is your friend in this case, and it does all the work. What we're going to do now is shape it. It's going to go for its final rise, and then we're going to bake it. So it doesn't get much easier than this. But that difference of adding those hours of the fermentation, the flavor is drastically better. You cannot replace that. There's nothing you could do to speed that flavor up, to speed it up and get that same flavor. It's impossible. Time is the only thing that can do it. I just fogged up my own glasses. So now I can't see. Hold on one second. All right, so I'm going to go over the recipe just in case anyone missed it. And I'm having a hot flash. Please excuse me. I am 54. Anyway, 750 grams of bread flour. I use King Arthur. It is my favorite. Other than when I grind my own grains, and we'll be getting to that. I have a ton. If I actually, maybe before this video is over, I'll grab the camera and show you my collection of grains. Adding the different grains gives you all these different flavors, and it gives you this power, the power to make something that's more delicious than the sum of its parts. So we'll get to that. So in this particular case, we're just using bread flour. AP flour, all-purpose flour, is not strong enough for this particular dough. You won't get good lift. So it's important that you use bread flour. We're going to be using our scale, and we're going to be working in grams. 750 grams of bread flour. It's very important when you're working in these types of recipes that you work in grams. It's really much more difficult. I'm a little over. I'm at 770, so I'm going to pull some out. There we go. Okay, so we've got our 750 grams of bread flour, best quality if you can. We've got 1/3 of a teaspoon of instant yeast. Go right in there. And in a spot not touching our yeast, whoops, excuse me, we've got our 1 tablespoon of sea salt. We're just going to mix that up. Yeast and salt are not good friends, so we always put them in different spots, just to be on the safe side. Okay, now we're going to add our water. Now this is an overnight fermenting recipe. So that means that this is one of those times when we are not going to use hot water. This is cool water. Okay? All right, our recipe's there. We need a tablespoon. Oh, that was 550 grams, by the way. A tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. And a tablespoon of honey. This is raw honey. It's all we ever have. We get it from our own hives. No, that is not important. It just makes me happy. I've been stung so many times that the least I can do is enjoy saying I've got my own honey. We have Italian honeybees, and we also had Russian honeybees. And for whatever reason, the Russian honeybees, every time I would go by with the mower, would attack me, even though I was easily 20 feet away from them, and sting me in the back. They are not my friends. Okay, now I'm going to take the scale away. Okay, and with a wood spoon, a really old one in my case, we're just going to start to mix this up. We are not kneading. Let me just take a quick peek and make sure I'm in frame. If you saw the craziness I have going on here, let's move you back into frame. Haha, there you are. Okay. This is a no-knead recipe because it has such a long ferment. It is completely unnecessary. What you could do if you felt like it is a couple of stretch and folds. I've shown you those before. But it's really not necessary. If by chance, before I go to sleep tonight, I decide I feel like it, I may do 1 or 2 stretch and folds just for giggles. Entirely not necessary. Super shaggy, just the way it's supposed to be. And I like to use a bowl scraper. The round side of this is a bowl scraper. That's what it's designed for. I'm not kneading. I'm just trying to incorporate as much of the wet as I can. Okay. As soon as I've got most of that in, I feel like I could use just a touch more water. And by a touch, I mean that was more than likely maybe a tablespoon. The maximum this recipe will take is 575 grams of water. So it's between 550 and 575. I started at 550. I felt it. Oh yes, much better. It needed that extra little bit. That's it. We're going to, shush you. We're going to cover this up. I'm going to let it sit at room temperature for about 30 minutes just so I can make sure I've incorporated all the dry flour. And then we're going to go into the fridge overnight. That's how easy this is. This will make incredible bread. Now the cold ferment builds flavor, so you're going to get a much deeper flavor. This is the first time on our series that we're going with a really long ferment, and you're going to see why. It's worth it, and it works all by itself. I'm going to put this in the fridge and walk away. See you tomorrow. Over there. This is my dough from yesterday. Okay, she's still quite cold. See if it's, now she's still cold, so she didn't go, I mean, it's obviously much bigger than it was yesterday. You'll see that in the video, probably before you see me yapping here. But we're going to divide it, and then I'm going to show you how to shape it. So move this aside for just a second. This is going to be 2 different types of bread, only based on its shape. And that's very common. When you go to a bakery and you see all the different breads, you think every bread has a different dough. No. More commonly than not, what determines the name or the type of that bread is its shape. So, and I never get this right, it's Casereccio. And I hope I said that correctly. Please excuse me if you're Italian and I did not. I love this bread, even though I mispronounce it all the time. This is a boule, essentially, what I showed you. I think I showed you that last time. It's just a round ball. And it goes into a banneton. It's lined in my case, because I like it. I get to wash them. It's easier. What it's sprinkled with here is rice flour. I do not use flour because that actually will start to absorb. This dough is a little more wet than what you're used to when you're baking with me. We've gone with easier doughs to handle, not so wet. This one's definitely got more moisture to it. So if we used flour to to sprinkle into our banneton, that flour would get moist and stick. And what we're looking for is a nice easy release when we flip this out. So we definitely don't want that. So that's why we use rice flour. And then here, this is just a sheet pan with a sheet of parchment. This is the same as I always told you. Here's a good example. When I've told you not to get the kind that's in the roll, it's because when you're working with it, it's going to try to do this thing where it rolls up and it sticks up and it misbehaves. When you get them flat like this in the flat pack, I get them on Amazon, I'll link it. it just lays there perfectly and it behaves nicely. So we're going to do 2 stretched out, almost like baguettes, but these are less shaped. Okay, these are rustic breads that we're going for. So we're just going to pull them and lay them flat, pull them and lay them flat. And this one is going to be shaped, and you'll see the very big difference. Because they're shaped differently, and which causes them, of course, to bake differently, they taste differently, which is why we do this. It's why you will definitely be able to taste the difference between this dough and a baguette dough that I did a few weeks ago. They do taste differently. The recipes are only slightly different, but those differences make all the difference in the world. So we're going to move this aside. We're going to move aside our pans. I just wanted to show you. Okay. And when we're baking the boule, the round one we were talking about, we're going to use for the first time in our series. I'm sorry, I've got allergies. This is a combo cooker from, what is this, Lodge. It's just cast iron. You can use any Dutch oven you have. Don't go out and buy something special for this. It's unnecessary. Just as long as a fly, I swear to God. Excuse me, I know I said God, I apologize. Please forgive me. Anyhow. What you're going to do with this is heat it as you heat your oven. We're going to take the oven up to 475 degrees. This will be in it while it's heating. You don't want to have the oven at 475 and then put this in cold. You will not get that bump of steam, which is what we're depending on to get that beautiful crust. Okay? So while I'm shaping, I'm going to go ahead and stick this in the oven and turn the oven on to 475. In fact, I'll do it right now. Okay, so now that's out of, I don't have to worry about it anymore. So what we're going to do is we're going to sprinkle bench flour. This is regular flour, not rice flour. We're going to sprinkle our bench flour onto our board. And we're going to release our dough. Come on, sweetheart. Don't leave anybody behind. Okay. We're going to divide this dough in half. Okay, so I'm just kind of laying it out so it's easy enough to work with. It's sticky. This dough is for sure sticky. It's the increased moisture we talked about. That increase of liquid is going to turn to steam when we put it in the oven, and that's going to give us a crisper crust. It's going to give us a bit more lift. We want it. It's good stuff. Okay, so that's going to drive me crazy, sticking to me. I'm just going to do a little on the sides. I don't want it on the dough because I'm going to roll it. So I just want to, there we go. Because I want to be relatively even when I divide. Okay. There we go. All right, we're going to set this one aside. And we're going to shape this one. So now, here we've got the top. There's the bottom. You can definitely see the difference, okay? We're going to turn it over onto its top. Sprinkle off, wipe off, whatever, dust off, any additional flour that just got on there just now. Okay? We're not going to do any fancy shaping. We're still at only 103. We'll get into the fancy stuff and making sure that we've got stitching and all that stuff later. We're still at the beginning, and I want to take it easy so we don't discourage anyone. Bring one side in, bring his little flap over, his little tush up, and the other end over. Okay, now we're going to take the little tail, and we're going to just roll it like if we were rolling a cinnamon roll. Okay, we are sticky. Okay, this is your bench scraper. It is your best friend. What I'm doing is I'm sliding it underneath, and with this part of my hand, I am putting pressure so that it's pulling the top, making it a little tighter, so we can form a nice skin over the top. Okay? And you see now it's getting smoother and smoother. We'll pull to myself, let go, pull to myself, let go. And I'm not pulling straight, it's this little bit of a curve. This takes practice. If you have to watch this over and over again a few times to get it, do it. It's fine. It's free. Scrape it up when it starts to stick with with your hands just like this, pull towards yourself, and you see it start to gather here, and that part there is exposed. That's the sticky part. Grab them and tuck them like that, okay? So we're gonna keep doing that until we have a nice tight boule. It is supposed to be wet. That is the one issue with this dough, is she's a sticky one. But I promise you she's worth it. So now, we're gonna grab our banneton that's been well dusted. We're gonna flip our dough over to this side is the wet side. Pinch, 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 pinch. And we're gonna take our little pinchies, stick them right in there, okay? And we're gonna press it with your, it's sticking to me, so it's not sticking to itself. Okay, there we go. Just pinch as well as you can. Okay? Let it lay just like that. Sprinkle a bit more of our bench flour, and this is going to rise until it doubles, and I'll show you that when we're done. Now we're going to, again, this is still very wet dough, so we need more bench flour than you'd expect. We're going to bring our little friend over here. Okay, so now we're going to work with our second one. And we're just going to stretch this out very gently. With our fingertips, go underneath and gently pull out. Gently. We don't want our fingertips to come through. We don't, if you've got ginormous rings on, good for you, but please, this is not the time. We've got to get rid of that if it's going to harm your dough. Give it a little shimmy. Okay, now we're going to flour it more than you'd expect again. Okay, and then we're going to go right down the middle. Now, what we generally call this in our house, we call it stretch bread. That is not the proper name. But we call it that because literally that's all you have to do. It doesn't get much easier than that. What I also like to do is, if I'm not using extra flour on top, I sprinkle it with a little onion powder, garlic powder, a little sea salt and pepper, which is just delicious, and it just makes it real tasty when you're serving it with dinner. But in this case, I'm going to do it the real way, which is to have a floured top. Now, let's clean this up because I don't want it all over the bottom of this pan. Just pick it up and lay it there. And you don't want them to touch because remember, that where you cut, super sticky. Okay, and then we're just going to get a nice damp towel. It has to be damp, otherwise the top of the bread, and because it is so moist, will get a crust on it and will interfere when you're trying to go to steam in your oven, and it'll ruin your lift. Okay, so I'm going to get a simple, nice little towel. Which one? We're going to use this little guy. We don't want it wet. Wring it out as much as you can. And then we go right over the top and off to the side. Okay, this is covered, goes off to the side. We'll come back and check it in 45 minutes. As soon as I think we've had enough where it needs to be, more than likely the stretch breads that I was just telling you about will be ready to go into the oven first, just so you're aware. And I'm going to clean this mess up, and we'll wait for this final rise, and the whole house is going to smell amazing very shortly. See you when we get back. One last detail before we wander off into the distance here. Even though the stretch breads are covered with a damp towel, I put another towel on top to keep them cozy. And I also covered our banneton with a towel. We want to keep these things going on in a place that is relatively warm and no breeze, no wind, no fans or anything like that. That just helps keep everything nice and warm, keeps everything rising nicely. If it gets a chill, it will slow it way down. And because we used a damp towel on the stretch breads, that definitely was going to cool down. So then we go ahead and put a little something cozy over the top. Okay? Just wanted to remind you in case you forgot, because I certainly did. Okay, see you soon. This is what the stretch bread looks like right before it goes into the oven. It's got a nice poofiness to it. See? Very simple, just a rustic, like a simple rustic table bread is what this is. It's easy to make. It can just, the dough just sits in your fridge It's yummy though. Okay, so this is going in first. The other, let's see, let's take the cover off here. It's not ready, but it's getting there. Let's see, let's lift this off. It's stuck. Ah, get off. I'm doing this with one hand, I'm sorry. Okay, so what we're gonna look for, you see, look at this jiggle. That's a good sign. That means that there's lots of air in there, okay? You see? We're almost there. Now, obviously, I'm not just going to stick my finger in there. It's wet, so my finger will stick. So I'm just kind of picking the parts that are not. We're almost there. So which is perfect because these will come out of the oven and this will be ready to go in. Now, one more thing. When I put these into the oven, I've got some ice cubes. Here, let me show you. Open the oven. It's going to be hot in here. Hold on. Let me... Going into our oven. Ooh, down at the bottom there is a tray, and in that tray is lava rock. When I'm ready, what I'm going to do is throw these ice cubes into that lava rock, and it will create steam. And that steam will give the extra lift for our bread. I got the lava rock on Amazon. It's just a tray I also got on Amazon, and I always leave it in the oven. I never take it out, and whenever I'm baking bread and I want that little extra boost of steam, which is what you would find in a professional bakery's oven, they have steam injected ovens. Well, I don't. I'm at home. Ice. Okay? Off we go. There she is. Let's see. Look at that. Look at that, how nicely poofed up you are. See that? Beautiful lift for something so simple. Virtually required no shaping. Let's get this onto cooling racks. Okay, we've got our last one going in. So we're going to uncover. Now, if you wanted a bigger one, you would just not cut it in half and use a bigger form and do the same thing. It would just bake for longer. Now, this is another sheet. Now, what I'm going to do is crumple it and then uncrumple it. That just makes it easier to take the shape. So then I put it over the top. Now what I need to do is take our very, very hot cast iron Dutch oven out of the oven. It's been in the oven for a long while. It is extremely hot. Now I'm doing this in a very confined space because I'm trying to keep it on the camera, so I'm hoping I don't burn myself. Let me slide this away. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna, very carefully, because this is wet, this dough is definitely moist. We're gonna flip our little friend over here. Oh, perfect, came out. Okay. Tuck. Because it's so wet, it really easily loses its shape. Okay, then we're just gonna give it a nice cut. I need to change my blade. Okay, now I'm gonna come under here. My blade is dull. Okay, that's fine, nobody cares. This is gonna, all I needed to do was open that up so that it has a spot to expand to. Let's see if we can lift this up. That's extremely hot, but we're gonna put that there anyway. Put the whole thing right in there. Ooh, that's hot. This is gonna go into the oven for 25 minutes with the lid on, and then we will take the lid off. I'll come back and show you what it looks like when I take the lid off. Okay, now we're just gonna take the lid off. Look at that beautiful lift. Okay, Siri, set timer, 20 minutes. We leave it in for 20 more minutes. It'll be beautifully browned, cooked all the way through, and we'll let it cool. The house smells amazing. Here we go. Let's see if we can zoom in here. Look at that. She's ready to come out. My husband's gonna grab it for us.
You can tell me.
Thank you, kind sir. Look at that. I mean, we're talking about perfection. Beautiful crust. The house smells amazing. Opened up beautifully, so we had plenty of lift. Oven spring is what it's really called. Okay, I'm gonna set up a cooling rack and we'll be right back.